has nothing but net. And it was a stunner. It brought down Twitter, and it was LeBron got embarrassed. Yeah. Okay? So LeBron, highest IQ in basketball. I'm sure he sits and broods and steams in the halftime locker room. I gotta wipe that off my record, man. I gotta get even. So as he senses what's happening in the fourth quarter, it's a 3-point game, a 4-point game, a 5-point game. It's still teetering. Mm-hmm. He said with about 5.5 minutes left in the game, you know what? I got to take him. Mm-hmm. I got enough legs left. I got enough gas left in my tank. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take this kid. This kid had been fairly hot. He had 28. It wasn't like he was crazy Utah Jazz hot, but he was still making shots. Okay, so with 5:34 left, LeBron takes him for the first time, if we could start to see this. And the first thing he does is he bodies him up down the lane a little bit, and he fouls him. And I thought that was a foul, and Frankie V is trying to defend his man LeBron, hoping they can get the call, and he challenged it, and they lost. So here he comes back, and it's still their ball, and LeBron's up into him, and this is a bad idea, bad pass, and it was because LeBron was pushing on him, and now they go to the other end, and KCP just nails it. That was a huge shot. And then here we come back again to the other end. He drives on the King, and the King does a good job. It could have been a body foul. Right. Could have been. You could have gotten it called. It would have been a superstar call. Right. And you get a quick bunny at the other end on the break. And then here he comes again on LeBron. That was the best defense of the night. And we come right back down the court, and Rondo is going to, this is a dagger. That was a big, that was a big shot. At that point.
That was really a big shot. Yep.
7, I believe, and that was the end of that deal. Okay, so the point is, both those drives by Jamal Murray could have been called fouls, the first one for sure. But the second one, LeBron played great defense because he beat him to the punch. And remember, Jamal is 6'4". Your man is 6'9". Right. So if he can at least hang with him in quickness to the rim.
Just get to the point before you
get to the point. He's going to have a hard time shooting over you.
Correct.
And you saw him. He was teetering off balance awkwardly. He had nowhere to go on either of those shots. If they'd called a foul on the first drive, maybe he goes and makes 2 free throws, and now you got a dicier game to try to deal with. But I am impressed. I will admit, LeBron sucked it up and said, I'm going to do this. And by the way, on that first turnover that Markieff got his hands on, that was because LeBron just jumped Jamal at the top of the circle, and Jamal sort of panicked for a second, like, really? You're going to guard me this hard?
After fighting over the screen in the corner.
That's what I'm saying. You're still here?
Right.
And he says, uh-oh, I got to bounce this to Joker, and it was a bad idea because there's too much traffic in there, and you get the quick bunny going the other way. It's the KCP 3, actually. Okay, so the point is, I will give you all of the above. But here's the key stat of the whole night to me. This is the one you should hang your hat on.
Yes.
Jamal Murray has been crazy hot from the 3-point line against Utah, against the Clippers, and even against the Lakers in the first 3 games. Do you see your final stats?
Yeah, he was 0 for.
0 for what?
0 for 3.
He only took 3 threes, and he missed all 3, and one came late when the game had been decided, and he missed it badly.
He was 0 for 1. If I'm not mistaken, he was 0 for 1 in the fourth quarter.
Okay, but that was it. It didn't matter. And he missed it anyway. But he had only attempted 2 threes until the waning minutes. I'm going to remind everybody, so far through the playoffs, through the first 3 games of this series, Jamal Murray had made 8 clutch time 3-point shots. That's the last 5 minutes if the game's within 5. 8. That had tied Steph Curry from the 2016 playoff run, okay? So it's extraordinary what he was doing, and all of a sudden, the Lakers made it their point of attack. Don't let him get loose at the 3-point line because he couldn't find one. He would hunt it, and he couldn't find it. And finally he'd say, okay, I got to drive it, or I got to pull up. Okay? So you won the game because I'm going to show you. In the first 3 games, he was 9 of 22 from 3. That's 41%. Against Utah, he was 32 of 60 from 3. That's 53%. That's crazy. Silly numbers. And then against the Clippers, 21 of 48. Which is 44%, which is still crazy. Okay? And you did that to him. And furthermore, look at what you did to Joker in the fourth quarter, would you? 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. That's 2 straight fourth quarters in which Jokic has come up goose eggs. He scored 2 big zeros in 2 straight fourth quarters, in part because of Dwight, although Dwight didn't play in the fourth quarter last night.
But Dwight took a lot of steam out of him early.
Took it out of him.
Yeah.
And plus, he's in foul trouble, and he's off balance, and he's out of sync, and he had a couple of little tips in the fourth quarter.
Think about it, Skip. Dwight had 6 offensive rebounds.
Yep.
And he put it back. Got an and one, dunked the ball home. And so that's what he's doing. We got 25 to 6 second chance points.
Whew.
They finally pounded, because the Lakers should never lose the rebounding battle. Not as big a team as they are. And they can play a multitude of ways. They can go Twin Towers and LeBron. And that is a big team.
What'd they have in game 3? 25?
They had 25 rebounds.
25 rebounds. Last night they had 41 to 33
right.
for the Nuggets. That's what it should be every night.
Because remember, Skip, Portland, if I'm not mistaken, Houston out-rebounded them, I think, in game 1. Portland might out-rebounded in game 1. And that shouldn't happen when you have those two big guys plus LeBron.
Yep.
But, Skip, that was the difference. The difference was Dwight. Dwight Howard played a huge role.
Yep.
I believe he's going to start. Well, I don't believe. I know he's going to start again in game 5. And he just has to play his head. He did a great job because he's forcing Jokic to use a lot of energy. On the flip side, Skip, they're doing the same thing to LeBron because he's guarding Michael Porter Jr. and Jeremy Grant.
Yep.
And Mike Malone is telling him, you got to go at him. You got to make him work. And you look at Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is going at him. Michael Porter Jr. is going at him because they got to take some of that sting out of him so he doesn't have it all on the offensive end.
Yep.
So he's playing 38 minutes, but he's having to play 38 minutes, having to sit in the chair on a couple of occasions also, Skip.
Yep.
Even when they put him in the zone and he's on the back line, he's running from corner to corner. So he's expending a lot of energy. Give him kudos for that. But Dwight Howard and Rondo played phenomenal last night. Skip, I just want to know one thing. Is Kuzma going to try to play any defense? I'm talking about like any. Okay, Skip, just a little. Will he just if the guy run by and pinch him? Will he do that? Will he try to stick his foot out and trip him or something?
I got a better question. Does it really matter whether he plays any?
Yes, Skip. He's giving he's giving Michael Porter Jr. what? Skip, how many times you going to run by the guy pump fakes you, you run by him, and he nails a 3? How about run him off the 3? That's what they was doing to Jamal Murray. Run at him. So he runs off the 3, and if he hits a 2, okay. LeBron was just like, I can't believe this joker. He did it twice, giving a matter of 2 minutes.
So think of what's happened. In a year's span, we went from Kuzma at Memphis shoving LeBron out to guard a three-point shooter to Kuzma doesn't play any defense, and LeBron is locking down Jamal Murray to end the game. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what's happened. But if that's the worst of your problems, I think those are good problems to have. Because the truth is, Dwight Howard is a former Defensive Player of the Year.
3 times.
He played like it last night. And Rondo has a ring, and he played like it last night. And there is this term called playoff Rondo.
Yes.
And he made yet another appearance last night and changed the game for a crucial stretch. Denver doesn't have a Dwight and does not have a Rondo. And by the way, KCP just keeps making big shot after big shot.
He does.
And so if you can hold Jeremy Grant down to 17 and Michael Porter Jr. down to 13, you're going to win because your 2 stars weren't better than your 2 stars.
Can we get Danny Green to give us a little more than 3?
You're complaining about immaterial developments that will not matter. This is going to be over in 5 games. We'll discuss this more a little bit on the show. But I called it in 5. It will be in 5. And I just, once again, would like to congratulate LeBron James on winning his 4th ring.
Nah, we don't do that. I remember rest his soul, Kobe. They went up 2-0, and they're like, Kobe, why the scowl? He's like, is it complete? You're 2-0. 2-0 don't get you a championship. 5 more games, get 5 more wins, get you a championship. There's no premature celebration.
Who was Kobe playing at that point?
Orlando.
Oh.
Orlando. You remember it? And I know a team that went up 3-1, and they was already, they can't toast at a towel. Oh, they're always talking about, their owner, he up there dancing and doing all this thing, and Kawhi looking off. What happened to all Kawhi care about is the playoffs? What happened to load management? Oh, Kawhi load management. Don't you worry about this, Shannon. Clipper Nation, y'all ain't no nation.
I'm glad you brought that up because right now the Clippers would be up 3-1 on the Lakers. You know it, and I know it.
This is what I know.
They were built and born to beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately, they overlooked this cute little underdog called the Nuggets.
Skip, it doesn't do you any good to build a house that can withstand wind, but it can't withstand rain. Because what happens if the wind doesn't blow, but you get a deluge? So what happens if you don't play the Lakers? You built to beat the Lakers, but you don't play them on your quest to get to your ultimate destination. Then what?
This has become LeBron's easiest path to a ring by far.
Doesn't matter.
By far.
Guess what? No, look, what would the ring say? Because there were times that in Tim
It'll have
Duncan...
an asterisk on it.
Tim Duncan's first win was a strike short.
It'll say COVID championship.
Let me ask you a question. When Tim Duncan won his first one, does anybody remember there was a strike short in season?
I do.
No, you don't.
I bring
you
it
ain't
up all
mentioned.
the
No, ain't
time.
nobody mentioned
Oh,
it.
come on, I bring it up
no,
all
don't
the
do that. Don't do that, Skip.
So just think of what LeBron just got to do. He got to take 5 months off at age 35.
Everybody else took 5 months off as well.
But he's the one ending his 17th NBA season. What's he up to NBA minutes? Third most?
Yes, third.
Almost the second most? Okay, so he got to do that. He got to beat a 35-39 Portland, the worst defensive team by far.
The best 8 seed in history.
Worst defensive team.
Yep.
And then he got to beat Houston with Daniel House disqualified.
With James Harden. Some said he's a greater offensive... I know a guy that sits on TNT that came out in the draft that says James Harden is a better offensive weapon than Michael Jordan. He said that on numerous occasions. And that's what LeBron had to go up against. Russell Westbrook, Skip Bayless comes out here and talks about he did that 3 straight years of triple doubles. He did that. He's an MVP. LeBron walks the dog with him. Oh, they're terrible. They should have never been there. Now the Nuggets, the hottest team, the only team in the history of the NBA to come back from 2 3-1 deficits in the same playoffs, and now they're terrible. And they got 2 guys that's blossoming right before your eyes. Jamal Murray's a household name now.
The Clippers were your kryptonite.
Nah.
And you avoided them. You got